The morning after Mia returned from the library of unwritten thoughts, she noticed a curious sound. At first it was faint, like the rustling of leaves, or the murmur of wind through tall grass. But as the minutes passed, it became clearer, almost like a melody remembered from childhood. It came not from outside her window, but from within her paintbrush, which now shimmered with soft sea-blue light. She touched it without hesitation, and the world around her rippled like water. Her room bent inward, then unfolded outward. Light and sound collapsed into silence, and then rebuilt themselves into something new. Mia stood on a quiet shore. The sea stretched endlessly ahead, calm and silver like liquid moonlight. Behind her rose cliffs carved with strange symbols, each one humming faintly. A breeze carried laughter, whispers, and fragments of songs. There were no buildings, no people, only sound, echoing like memories. She had arrived at the island of forgotten voices. The sand beneath her feet was soft and warm. Each step left behind glowing footprints that faded slowly. As she walked, the ocean responded, not with waves, but with pulses of harmony, as though welcoming her with song. A figure emerged from the shoreline mist. It was shaped like a person, but woven entirely from sound. Notes curled where fingers would be. Harmonies shimmered around its outline. "I am Ekoa," it said, its voice both young and old. "Guardian of the voices lost." "Voices lost?" Mia asked. Ekoa nodded. "All the things never said. All the songs abandoned mid-verse. All the names that faded before being remembered. They live here." Mia looked out across the horizon. "Why have I come?" "To listen," said Ekoa, "and to help them be heard." They walked along the beach together. Ekoa touched the cliffs, and they opened like doors. Inside, caverns of sound shimmered, each cave holding a different tone. Mia stepped into one filled with children's giggles and lullabies. Another echoed with poetry written but never spoken. One was filled with nothing but a long, lonely cry. It shook her. "These are voices that mattered," Ekoa said. "But no one stayed long enough to hear them." They passed a cave labeled the Song of the Forgotten. Inside was a silence so deep it rang like a bell. Mia closed her eyes and felt it in her ribs. Her throat tightened, not from fear but recognition. There was something of her own voice in there, buried beneath layers of time. "Can I help?" she asked. "You already are," Ekoa whispered. That night, under a sky filled with notes instead of stars, Mia was given a task. She would gather voices and paint them into the sky. The brush in her hand now hummed when pointed toward forgotten stories. She walked across the island, finding echoes buried in the sand, tucked in between reeds, or floating above still pools. Each time she found one, she listened. A girl who wanted to be a dancer but was told she had no rhythm. A boy who tried to sing but was laughed at. An old man whose last story was never heard. She painted each one into the sky with sweeping arcs of light. The heavens became a chorus, a map of voices rising once more. As the stars grew brighter, the island began to sing. Not loudly, but with a strength that moved mountains and softened storms. Ekoa stood beside her, glowing. "They are heard now," Ekoa said. "And so are you." Mia felt her own voice vibrating in her chest. Not just her speaking voice, but the voice of her dreams, her fears, her wishes. It was not a sound but a presence. The cliffs behind her began to dissolve. The sea turned to mist. The island had said what it needed to say. Back in her room, Mia placed her brush down and opened her sketchbook. Instead of drawing, she wrote a single line. "To listen is to love. To speak is to live." And as she closed the book, the voices of the island echoed in her heart, gently and forever.